Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and I just thought we'd do a quick LOLA update before it starts absolutely peeing it down. First of all, apologies, this is going to be all handheld because I can't find my spare tripod and I'm not going up to the workshop to pick my other one up, so you'll have to bear with me being handheld today. Anyway, I'll just have a quick show you what I've been up to today. Have a look in here. As you can see, there's been a bit of progress made. I've got the seat base all mounted back in. You can have a look along there. It's all bolted up. All the bolts are in. It's all painted up nicely. And the reason I've stuck this in is it just allows me to eyeball a few things. I wanted to know, like, that I had enough room down here to run my fuel lines. Because we have two fuel lines basically, because it's a diesel now. I'm going to have two fuel lines, a feed and a return, that run along here. This is pretty much where the original fuel line ran, but I didn't like it anyway because it was all chopped up and made up of bits of rubber hose and all sorts, so that had to go anyway. But we might even utilise that, replace that with a double one, and we can actually mount it down. But what I wanted to see if there was enough room there to get them through comfortably, and there is. I'm quite pleased with that, so my fuel lines can basically run through there, and then they'll run up, and you can see my fingers there. They'll run up there, up to the tank, and as you can see, we've got our feed there, and we've got our return, which I need to make an adapter up so I can get a piece of pipe coming off that. That's the fuel level indicator. That works okay on this, so we won't need to bother with that. There's still probably about half a gallon, 3/4 of a gallon of petrol in there, so I need to drain that out, and I can use that in my boat. Cause it won't have gone off too badly. It'll run in my boat engine. So yeah, I'll give you a quick look under the bonnet and I'll show you what progress we've made under here. Oops, this might be a bit tricky one-handed. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to have to just put you down for a second while I get the bonnet open. Just bear with me a sec. Oops. Okay, sorry about that. Right, and here we are. As you can see, I've actually got the engine, all the water system plumbed up now. That's the top hose. These are the old Discovery hoses. They're not ideal, they don't fit perfectly, but they will at least do for me running the engine up first and getting it up to temp. There's a little bit of a kink in it there, obviously, because it's not the correct hose for here, but there's enough room in there, there's enough meat on it to cool. Not that it's really going to need a whole heap of cooling. Same with the, if you look down there, again, that's the standard. I did have to cut a bit off that. Basically, I had to shorten it slightly and then bend it round to get it to fit. Same with the bottom hose down there, if you can have a look. So it's not ideal. It is a little bit squashed and restricted, but it will at least do for initial testing. And at least from that, I can figure out what I'm going to have to do. Whether I'm going to have some custom made, or I'm going to have to make them up out of some stainless steel pipe and some silicone tubing, which is what I'm thinking of possibly doing. We've got that's the expansion tank for the radiator. Again, that's a standard Discovery part, and that's connected exactly as it would be in the Discovery, down to the same pipe. So all that's worked really, really well. I do need to still mount that. That's just floating there at the moment. If you look, it's not actually fixed in at the moment. It will fix in nicely on this side here, and I'm going to have to make a little bracket for this side that just mounts to the wing and then comes up to hold that there, but that fits in really, really nicely. I'm really pleased with how that all mounts in. Same with the oil cooler pipes, if you can notice there. They were basically joined together with a little bracket in the middle here. I think it was there. And I removed that and I split the two pipes apart, so I could run one basically above the injection pump like that, and one runs down the side and then curves around. So that's slightly different to how they were in the Discovery, but it works absolutely perfectly. They're perfect length, perfect clearance. Like I said, we've got a diesel filter there. That's all happy. If you have a look at the radiator, you can see, as I was saying, I cut this flange there, drilled it, and if you looked, I've just welded it. I've just done some stitch welds. I've not welded it all the way along. You can see my stitch welds, and that's more than enough to hold it. And then basically I've done the same on that side down there, so that's what I've welded on. And then I was struggling a little bit on this side, so what I had to do, if you can see down on this side, is I made this little bracket which welds on and then bends round and attaches, as you can see, just attaches there. This is all made out of old scrap steel that I had lying around. They're actually 1960s speaker brackets, but they work perfectly. I didn't bother with any rubber mounts on this part because actually the radiator matrix there has got rubber bushings between it and its frame, so that's fine. As well as that, we've got the alternator. Let me just come round here so you can see it. I don't know if you can see down, yeah, you can see down there. I've actually got the alternator mounted, and I've used the original series 2 1/4 petrol alternator mount. Now that would be a bit far back on the block on a 2 1/4, sorry, on a 2.5 TDI. So what I did is basically I've cut some spacers. These are them. This is one still to go in, I just need a longer bolt to fit it. Basically I've cut these spacers to step it out, so it's got 3 spacers stepping the bracket out to get it into a line with the original Discovery pulley. Now on the Discovery the alternator would have been mounted around here, yeah, basically down there, and where that is, well, up here, so you can see, basically in, rather tricky to point here, but basically in this position here is where the power steering pump used to be. I removed all that. Like I said, I've fitted the alternator down where it would have been on a 2 1/4 petrol or diesel engine. The only thing, and that I've basically been able to use all the brackets from the old power steering pump. That's the power steering pump's tensioner bracket down there. The only thing I had to do was make that little L bracket. I do have to modify the studs that I've made, the spacers. The top one's about 2 millimeters too long, so I need to take that back out. Just grind 2 mil off. It'll just bring this very slightly that way, because it is very, very slightly out of alignment yet with that pulley. But it's only a couple of mil, like I said, I just need to basically shorten my other one of them by about 2 millimeters, and that'll pull that into alignment, and that'll be absolutely perfect. So I'm really happy with how that's gone out. The only other thing I've really done so far is I've been playing with this here. What we've got here, this is the Discovery air filter, and I'll just hoik it out. If you have a look down there first, let's see if you can see. You can have a look at the turbo there, and if I just whittle this about, basically them 2 unions there need to go together, so I'll use a piece of silicone hose to join them 2 up. All I've had to do to get, I still need to do a little bit of work to get this to fit, but basically what I'm doing, let me pull it out again, is there was a union on that side there which I didn't need, so I just chopped it off. I don't need, that'll just act as an air hole, that's absolutely fine. I just need to get the flap disc on that and just polish all the sharp edges off. And the same here, there was like a tube that come out the front there, and I've cut that off completely, and that's just going to nestle down there, and it'll be able to suck enough air all the way through. What I do need to do is I need to remove this here, which is part of the wing. It's shot anyway, it's a bit crusty. I'll make something that's flatter, that sits further down onto the chassis rail to replace it, because I just need or I could just notch a piece out of it like that. I might do that, I might take it off and then notch a piece out of it like that. It's just to allow this bottom bit here, that to sit flush, and so that will basically allow these to sit, I don't know if you can get it like that, perfectly in line. Like I said, they're slightly out at the moment. If I get rid of that, that'll sit further in, and they'll be able to line up, and then I'll be able to get a couple of strap brackets around that onto the wing to hold that in place. The reason I want to use this is it's used as a standard. It's a standard cartridge style filter like that, so they're nice and easy to replace. The old series Land Rovers used an oil bath style air filter, and well, they're recyclable. You just take the filter out when it's dirty and wash it in petrol and put it back. they're horrible and dirty, and you get covered in crud every time you work on them. This is much cleaner, easier to replace. That's why I'm going with the, and I want to use as many of the Discovery engine parts as possible. So yeah, I think that's about it. That's about as far as I've got so far. We are very, very, very close to starting this engine up and hear it run in this car for the first time. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this little update on the LOLA project. So I'll say thanks for watching and goodbye.